truth is an irony, just like animal farm. Justice mean inequity, so who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Christian can say silence, Islamic leaders silence, kings and queens silence, traditional leaders silence. So who go say the truth? We are the workers of confuse the call. Now by area, why no better? We are the workers of confuse the call. One guy's area, why no better? Who go say the truth? Who go say the truth? Oh, you need it now, see what I see so. Now your friend on a night come at them. Only papi obeka nice and beer. So I want one, I bet you were two. Everybody was afraid. And until I learned to my cottage again, once my board dumping one and I cheat. But who go tell the truth? Nanai or say me. Nanso bien person beka wasam because everybody is afraid. Anya safwe muayini. Aku drop on yina dalima. And who go say the truth? Obiaja konson so to grow mansa to me bia kakobrafo. Efo anyina ye. Efo when anyina ye. Na so kutrata down na so bidia back or why no keke. Afene fo be manu mo piafo efo ne cross on my mo. Anya safwe muayini. Akuku drop on yina dalima. And who go say the truth? Abaya di bote chino. Yedi bi bebo nyande bi. Kachisa udi oma upipi numa. Would your mind never shine my preference? But who go tell the truth? TUC, silence. Even journalists, silence. Oh, then who go say the truth? Right is right, wrong is wrong, no matter how you justify. You say you wanna get rid of corruption. Someone want to help you, now the person become your target. Jobless, no they mean senseless. Poverty, no they mean useless. One day, then go resist.
Hello once again and welcome to the program MyView. You are joining us live on today's Ghana News TV with me, Jerome, your host, as usual. And let me equally remind you that we are also live on Twitter, on Switch by satellite, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all on today's Ghana News TV. You can equally follow us on Twitter and TikTok, as well as podcast on Anchor FM. It is always a pleasure to be with you every Monday evening that I share my view, and then we take the views from you as well as we sermon all with the views of our guests. Today we come again. Last week we saw that about 70% of Ghanaians did indicate that the country was moving in the wrong direction. This evening we come once again to look at, is it the reality on the ground? Does the statistics really correlate with what is on the ground? Wherever you are, it's my pleasure to have you this evening on my View show. Stay tuned, share the links with friends, and let all of us come together, share our views in the direction in which our country is moving. Is that what we want? Are we satisfied with it? What can we do to change the directional movement of our country? Stay tuned, and when we come back, I would introduce to you my guests for this evening's show. Once again, you are welcome to MyView show.
Waiting there happy for Africa. Dusty old men holding on to power, leading the people to where the grave. Wicked criminal leaders. See them a come, them coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why a thieving so? Thief man, why a thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why a thief so? I see the people crying every day, yo. They want food, them can't find. I see the youth looking for a job, oh, everywhere, them can't find. Mr. President, him just belly full, oh. Him and the family, they no suffer, oh. Suffer, no poor man they suffer, oh. Suffer, rich man know they suffer. Suffer, no poor man they suffer, oh. Suffer, rich man they suffer, lie. See them a come, they coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why a thieving so? Thief man, why a thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why a thief so? Mr. President, why you dey lie so? Before election, you tell me you be angel. When you sick, you run go a London. When we sick, we die for Kolebo. Mr. President, why you wicked so? Tell me how you dey sleep at night, oh. See them a come, they coming like an angel. But them a thief, them no say them a thief. Mr. President, you coming like a savior. But you a thief, you know say you a thief. Thief President, why a thieving so? Thief man, why a thief so? The people they must suffer, but you don't care so. Thief man, why a thief so? This is Mr. Traitor, Master of Sleeping. This is Mr. Traitor, Master of Sleeping. Yarambarayi Fiafiwo Alakpatowo Na Yeruya.
Once again, you are most welcome to MyView show on today's Ghana News TV. And as I did indicate, we are live on all our social media platforms and on Switch by satellite on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Yes, last week we had a discussion here sharing our views on the direction of our country. Unfortunately or unfortunately, the statistics did indicate about 70% of Ghanaians really believe that the country is moving in the wrong direction. Is that the reality, or is just one of those research findings that we see day in and day out? Today, it is my privilege to welcome two powerful guests on this show. First, I have Mr. Delali Ndo, who happens to be an author and also a member of the Chartered Institute of Administrators and Management Consultants. And he is going to join us this evening to express his view on the direction of our country. And also, I have Mr. Albert Alan Dachie, who happens to be the Deputy Chapter Secretary of the National Democratic Congress of the NDC Germany chapter. He will also be here to express his views on the direction of our country. Mr. Dachie, you are most welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jerome.
It's a privilege to have you this evening.
I'm most fortunate to have an opportunity to join you again.
Once again, that's great. So we'll start off with where we are today. We've seen a survey that indicated that the country is moving in the wrong direction. We had about 70% of Ghanaians believing that. I know there are a lot of parameters that actually influence this percentage, and where you also sit from your political lens. I know you will always look at it from the political lens or whatever it is, because we know that those of you in the opposition, you always come from the opposition point of view. Nonetheless, what is your stake on the direction of our country in terms of the governance by the New Patriotic Party led by Nana Akufo-Addo?
Again. You see, from where I sit, I'm most likely to always look at things from the political perspective. But well, what is not political in life? Everything in life is political, and politics is about everything in life. So those two go hand in hand. So it's going to be it's difficult for you to be able to separate politics from reality and what you call whatever reality from politics, because those two they are in one box, if you like. But one really cannot say that even before I put out my opinions, I would like to humbly submit that it's going to be difficult for anybody to say that my opinions are political when all the survey upon survey corroborate what my opinions and what my views are. And I say this, and when I say this, I'm going to pull us back to 2016, 2017. Apart from this current data that we are talking about, that you discussed last week with your guest, we also have the one that's conducted by Transparency International, right? And Transparency International has a scale for measuring perception of corruption or corruption. They call it Corruption Perception Index. How do you call it? CPI. Yeah. That they've been doing over the years. And since Transparency International started, I think, if my understanding is not wrong, the first time that I heard about or that I read about anything concerning their index was in 1998. And the scale of transparency is such that they rate you from 0 to 100. 0, which means that you are more or less, not doing that badly, and that 0, that means that you are doing badly, or that your corruption perception is that high. And when you get to 100, which means that it is so bad. And from where we are coming from, in 1998, where even at the point where Ghanaians were so despondent, the perception of corruption in Ghana, the CPI, according to Transparency International, was 33, according to their index. Now, let's move ourselves. So up from 1998, we worked our way up until, let's say, the year 2017. Remember that NDC was in power, NDC left power 2016. 2017, when Transparency International did their index. Their index came up to 60. 40. Now, if you measure from 40, remember I told you that if you have 0, it means you are doing badly. If you are doing 100, you are doing good. Today, as we sit, the latest ones that they did in last year, we have inched up from that 40. We have moved up 3 scales to 43 on the corruption perception index. So if I think that corruption has become worse off, it's not me who is saying it. Even Transparency International, which is the independent think tank that everybody ran to, is the one saying it. And if I say so, and I go back to, they say that if a fish begins to rot, it rots from the head, right? Sure. In 2006, what are the things that we were complaining about in the presidency? The thing that Ghanaians were most disgusted about was the fact that a Burkinabe contractor at the presidency, a Burkinabe contractor, gifted the president a vehicle, which was subsequently put into the pool of cars of the state protocol. And that got Ghanaians disgusted as to how come the president could take a car as a gift from a contractor and put it to the disposal of the state in the state protocol. Today, as we said a few years ago, in the same presidency, we had somebody who said that the vice president was in his pocket and was good and was distributing and was going about distributing contracts everywhere, left, right, center, forward. Today, as we said, this year, or was it sometime last year, in the same presidency, we have had a whole minister of state captured on camera talking about appearance fee that they have to pay at the castle to the vice president in order to get his audience. So if these are the perceptions, they may be perceptions, but these are also the reality. So when I see this as a politician, it is not me who is saying it. The evidence is also there. So you may not believe it, or you may think that I'm doing politics, but the evidence is there to corroborate what I'm saying. And as the discussion go on, I can cite you example upon example that will go to support the fact that these are not mere perceptions, but these are actually things that are happening on the ground.
Wonderful. With such an introduction, I can imagine how this discussion is going to be this evening. But we'll come back to you and then we'll interrogate more because we'll have to look at a bit of comparisons where in fact, when we come back to you, we'll see how we'll take it up from there. We'll bring in Mr. Delali, and then we'll have his introductory word. So, very good evening and welcome to the program.
Well, good evening, and once again, happy meeting you.
Great, and happy meeting you too.
Yeah,
we are doing our possible best. It's not easy, but we are on.
Thank God for the opportunity.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of people are actually listening to you. We want to just have a word, introductory word from you. Very precisely, I only did introduce that you are a member of the Chartered Institute of Administration and Management Consultant. But maybe there could be some other aspects that we do not know. And I'm pretty sure a lot of our viewers will want to know a bit about you, and then we delve into the issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Jalal is my name. Just as you said, right? I'm a political animal. I've had almost 2 decades stint with the NDC, and I've had almost 2 decades stint with the MPP. But what I offer is the experience that I've gained out of this to look at why Ghana lacks sustainable development. And from what I discovered from my research, that's what gave me the interest to pass a comment on the question: is the country moving in the right direction? And I said, no, it's good I share some of my research findings so that the political football we keep playing and toying with our own destinies, we can put some more seriousness to it. This is the little introduction I would like to give before.
Wonderful. Yes. So let's go a little bit behind. I have gone through your contribution where you were hammering on attitudinal change,
yes,
which is very important. But from where you sit, someone says that about 70% of Ghanaians believe the country is moving in the wrong direction. I don't know, what will be your take on this one first?
A similar research was conducted in 2019, Afro Barometer report.
Yeah.
And that chance for me to put up an article. It's on modernghana.com.
Okay.
I was asking, Ghana moving in the right direction, subjective or objective? Because from where I sit, if you are talking about moving to a wrong, again, I remember, was it the 2012 election campaign or so, whilst the MPP was touting moving forward, the NDC was touting moving forward in the right direction. Aha. And then again, last year, I think CDD also did a research and asked the same research question. And it was answered. In fact, I had a thought of writing to respond to the CDD. I didn't do that before this one also came up.
Okay.
But the cardinal question is, if you are talking about direction, then it means that you have a goal. Do we know our goal as a country? This nation, do we know our goal? Do you have a vision where we want to go? Because it's the vision that will direct whether we are going the right direction or the wrong direction. The question is, do we have a goal? Do we have a vision? From my research all along, from 2007, I have asked many people who have not been able to give me a vision this nation has. And because we don't have a vision, our education system is in disarray. Because you need a vision, and then task the education system to design what we call intent. The intent of the intent, you craft your curriculum. That is, what kind of human capital do you have to build to achieve that vision?
That vision.
So the issue of attitudes came in just because when I finished my public work, public services around 2000, and I entered into private business. In fact, I was secretary of revolution, and in my small NGO office, strong questions came to me. The question was, Delali, assuming you had died during the revolution, what legacy would you have left? This question bothered me for 3 weeks. And I said, no, let me find out. Because I was a district liaison officer for national mobilization.
Okay.
And I became a deputy regional director before I resigned and set up the NGO. So I have traces. I interfaced policy and implementation.
Okay.
So I decided to do some research. When I went to the ground, I discovered that, oh, yes, you were saying that people were poor. For that matter, we wanted to send packages to help them fight themselves out of poverty. If you can remember from Global 2000, if you can remember Global 2000, the 80s.
Global 2000.
All through village infrastructure programs, all through PAMSCAD, through these, yes, packages that we gave people. And I went to various communities that I worked in, we are giving packages to now. I found out that some people had as many as 5 packages, but were still poor. So it struck me, if one person could gulp down 5 packages and would still be poor, when would it move to the next person also to have some relief? So I decided to put my mind to it, to do some deep research. Fortunately, I was on my own. In that research, the issue of attitudes propped up seriously. But I didn't end it there. I decided to follow up to look at the policymakers, the documents that they wrote before the packages were submitted. And I wanted to look at their reports. So I saw a few of the reports, and the reports, conclusion. In conclusion, they would like to, I would tell you, this project is sustainability unlikely. So if you pump in $10 million and you are told that sustainability is unlikely, that means that $10 million had gone waste, almost waste. Another occasion, $46.something million. Sustainability, well, likely. Not emphatic, not sure. So I just began imagining from the Nkrumah era, the packages that we've been sending to the people across this country to help people fight poverty. But if these are the records, these are the results, then we are just reducing poverty on paper, not practical.
Sure.
But the most cardinal point was that many people found the packages and misused them due to their mental construct, their understanding. That's the attitude. And that measured about 60 points on our scale. So if 60%, that's too much. So let's move to the second leg of the research and find out what are the consummates of our attitudes. And you know, attitudes are formed from your environment.
Sure.
Yes. So to understand our environment, sorry, another leg of the research from before our forefathers, because we believe that our forefathers lived well, and why they lived well and we are not living well, we need to understand. So we picked the research from there, questioning ourselves until we came to the first time in contact with the white man, Western civilization. What happened? What transpired? Now, at this level, we decided not to look at the white man, but just look at the lifestyle of the fellow African who fronted for the white man.
Okay.
And we centered that on the history of the EP Church, Evangelical Presbyterian Church, where the first missionary came to Peki Blengo, 14th October 1847.
Okay.
And was led there by Nyangamagu, the son of the Degan Kojode. So we decided to look at his lifestyle and how his people saw him, how they saw him, and realized that in that interface, there were questions that we never asked, and we still not asked till today, which forms the basic form of our attitudes. The question we asked was it possible that, in the first place, how do you think the local people recognized Nyangamagu? And they said he was as a hero for being able to lead a white man to the place. Then he was a hero. Was it possible that in his interaction with the white man, he had some freebies that he enjoyed and extended to his family members? Say it was possible. Maybe biscuits, yes, he gave to his siblings and others before. So,
okay.
If so, was it possible that anytime Nyangamagu was going back, his people were still asking him to bring them more? Yes, it was possible. But in all these interactions, we all agreed that there was no situation where any of them asked that, how were these things made? These biscuits that you enjoy, how was it made? And that is a question that we have not asked till today. And that forms the fundamental of our attitudes. So fast forward, we had our encounter with the white man, and we made a point that, you see, in human life, at every point in time in your life, you have choices. Your choice might give you positive results, or your choice might give you negative results. Now, if you make the choice and gives you a negative result, your capacity to accept responsibility, that yes, I made a mistake, and make amends, gives you 50% pass mark, because you are 50% through with your problem. But where you don't accept responsibility, but you pass the buck, yes, you pass the buck and blame all others except yourself, but your problem will never move away, but will keep on compounding, and you think that you are enjoying a goodness, but it will just come and explode in your face one day, boom, and you cannot contain it. So we decided to look at our evolution as a country from the attitudinal angle. And since I'm not the only person here, the only one I'll add before maybe you move back to my
you learn.
We found out that, regrettably, pardon?
No, go on. Go on.
Okay.
Go on, please.
We decided to look at the totality of our lives, attitudes. And the main thrust of attitudes to be directed is your education system.
Perfect.
And you can look at it that formal education was introduced in the Gold Coast, first formal education, seriously, by Governor Gordon Guggisberg. Gordon Guggisberg, who was a surveyor around 1902, 1905 that way, but had to be drafted to go and fight during the First World War. And after the First World War, he came back as a governor. During Guggisberg with Dr. Kissing, they surveyed most of parts of this country, and they discovered the gorge where we constructed the Akosobo Dam in 1905. Yes. So when Guggisberg came, he had a new mental attitude towards governorship. And at that time too, the British Empire was across the whole world, around the whole globe. And the British were bragging that this is an empire on which the sun never sets. And the cost of administering this huge empire was becoming so high. And they needed local people to support. So the issue of formal education became key for them, to train local people to do to support them, assist them, man that huge empire. That's how education came. And in our research, look at it. When Gettysburg introduced formal education and started on that motive to help them prop up that empire. Fast forward, we decided to fight for independence. Now, before we try to fight for independence, the issue of education becomes key. Why key? Because education must have the capacity to fuse your sociocultural elements with the new things you are learning, to build a human capital that should be able to satisfy whatever vision you have created to attain for yourself. And in our research, we discovered that, yes, you had education that you had to look at. But unfortunately, when we decided to go independent, we thought what Gettysburg had brought was enough to carry us through. But what Gettysburg brought simply meant that your allegiance must go to London. So therefore, if you wanted to go independent, change that trajectory and bring your allegiance to Accra. But we just saw education as education, and we failed to customize education to suit our own selves.
Our own selves.
Now, you've heard that this argument often said that the slave trade has been the bane of our development. But our research thinks otherwise. Our research talks about, because slavery, it wasn't a white man who brought slavery. We started slavery ourselves. That's a fact we have to accept. I don't know why we want to accept it, but that's the fact. And for us who are avists, there's a storybook, very popular storybook called Agbezuge. Agbezuge's story tells about how slavery started, and Hotel de Sceaux and others were buying slaves and using them to cut merchandise from various places to Keta, to Kumasi, to Obuasi. And we ought to accept that, yes, we started slavery for ourselves. Because I challenge people to name just one white man who ever came into our forest to come and catch a black man to go and sell. Just one. Have you ever had one? Not one. So it's high time you accepted the things that we think that, yes, our forebears at a point in time, we thought 2 bottles of Shinab was equal to a human being. It's a historical fact. Why do we run away from it? Then we'll help and help ourselves out of the problems. But no, we keep on pushing that it's somebody else who has done it. And our problems are compounding. And NDC and MPP matters have become political football we are playing. Playing about personalities and not playing about issues. So, but attitudes are just sitting down and staring at us. Today, whilst it was attitudes, we just have to look at the political thinking of our leaders, the political leadership that we had before, prior to independence. We have to look at it. So we spend time in the parliamentary library to read through our Hansards, to see what kind of mental construct our political leaders had. And a few of them that I'll cite here struck me as a nationalist. They struck me. For instance, in December, 3rd December 1952, when there was this debate on reviewing the loss of the Gold Coast. Okay. To review the loss of the Gold Coast. And for 2 days, the Legislative Assembly was debating whether a local person must do the review or an expatriate must do the review. I found it unfortunate, most unfortunate. 2 days drinking tea, going for 2 days to decide. But the minister then was emphatic that no local person will have the time to do it, so it's only an expatriate who must do it. I said that was a dangerous thing. What kind of mental construct were we giving ourselves? But I said, well, it will be one of those things. It continued. There was another instance. the Minister of Agriculture was insisting that he needed a consultant from America to come and direct us on how to deal with our poultry. Others were saying, no, let us do it and make our own mistakes. But well, they had the place, they have the way. In 57, our own Dr. Nkrumah, how could he go for an European to be his advisor on African affairs? It beat my imagination. In September 56, what do you say? Was whilst we are staring at independence, was saying that we must be paid equal to what the white man was taking. And in Ghana's history, that thing that was passed is one thing that has not changed in our constitution till today. And today it is consolidated under Article 71.
71. With
horrendous privileges to political elite. So this is the kind of attitude we have adopted for ourselves. And not there alone. Because the education system was not customized for that house. And because design a vision, a goalpost for this nation to get education system in tandem to fashion out. What we have is every day we say we are doing education reforms, but going around and see education reforms are just about structure, but what is inside is missing. And today we have put many more people to school, and I ask the question: if education means acquisition of knowledge to improve on one's environment, is this definition relevant to Ghana? No, we have many more educated, but we cannot even feed ourselves. We have many more educated, but even our surroundings we cannot clean. So,
hold your fire on this education.
Okay.
I would go to Mr. Dashie and come back, because education really, we have a very key problem, because if you make a comparison between our educational systems, where we run them, and even outside, where we believe that those are illiterates, you don't see any difference. So we have to look at the educational system that we are running. Is it really gearing for the development of the country, or is just to say that, yes, we have people who are educated? So I'll come back to you right after this. Then we'll look at Mr. Dashie on the other side. We have had a very wonderful introduction from Mr. Delali. He has taken us through the colonial system to the modern system, and we are almost hitting on the educational system, which I'll take your view on that. But before we hit on that educational system, in your intro, you did mention about the CPI, where you were giving certain examples of what happened before, especially with reference to that Ford vehicle that was donated, or that was gifted to former President Mahama, and it found its way into the Jubilee House pool of vehicles. I have a little problem there. If indeed it was a corrupt act, how did it end up in the presidential pool? Was it gifted to the state, or it was gifted to John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency? Now, you come to that. Now you go back first, backwards. When President John Ajekun Kufuor won the elections and was sworn in, we're all told a farmer rehabilitated his residence. And he had to even buy, what came out to be called the Hotel Diwawa. They had to buy that hotel for security reasons. So now the state has to also step in to ensure that where the president was living was security tight, with all the international standards for any president. Then we move out of President John Ajekun Kufuor, and then we had President Atta Mills, who had to live in the State House, and therefore nobody had to go and repair or rehabilitate his personal house. So what it means is that in the absence of President Atta Mills, the next president that took over also goes into the State House, and that was His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Now we have President Nana Akufo-Addo, who is living in his own house in Nima, which has again been rehabilitated by the state, fitted with all the national standard of security systems. And when he leaves office, that is his private building. The state has already fortified it, but he lives there, and the next president will have to go back to the state house. If you put all these things, do you still believe that the corruption perception index that we are having currently is something that has to do with the party that is in government, or it is about the people?
Well, I think before I respond directly to this question, I would like to, share something that I personally believe. When they say that, in my short life in political service, you come across people who say that, oh, that you politicians, you are corrupt and everything. And I say that, you see, politicians, I have never come across a school where somebody attends and come out and graduate and they award a degree to be a politician. What I know is that, there's no such school. I mean, there are schools where people attend and they finish and they are given degrees and they become engineers. There are schools where people graduate, they finish, they are given degrees and they become medical doctors. There are schools where people finish and they graduate and they become nurses, they become teachers. But you see, for the job of politicians, it is all these professionals who come together, who become professionals. So I always say that the politicians are a microcosm of the society that we have. So inherently, if you have a corrupt society, you are going to have corrupt politicians, and by effect, corrupt governments. So it's something that I believe in, and I think that if we keep saying every day that our politicians are corrupt, it means that inherently we ourselves are corrupt. Because if you are a teacher and you can steal a bit of a capitation grant that comes to your school, 200 Ghana cedis out of 700 Ghana cedis, that means that when you become a politician and you have 10 billion Ghana cedis, you can equally steal 2 billion Ghana cedis, because that is your mindset and that is who you are. So this I believe is where our problem comes from. But the thing is, what is going to make somebody steal from the state? What would make somebody take money from the collective pot into his private pot and feel comfortable and easy about it? And I'm happy that Mr. Delali took us back and he talked about colonial era, then built us through our education system and all of that. And I believe that, yeah, these are things that are strongly correlated. I'm not saying they are causalities, but I think they are strongly correlated. Because from where I sit, when I look at it, I think that right from colonization, as a colonized group of people, we have never been able to delink the state from our colonial mastery. We have always seen the state to be for some other foreigners that we must milk. And that is how come, if you trace our history back to Nkrumah era, where ministers were tried for corruption for importing beds made of gold, all the way through our history to the Fourth Republic, we have seen a tendency of corruption. But then you come across the various political divides that we have had over the Fourth Republican era, where the key political actors have been what? The NDC and the MPP. And from where I sit, there's a clear distinction between the two. One group of people that call themselves a mass political party, a party for the masses, whose basic orientation is to serve the downtrodden and to serve the masses. And another group of people who say that their mantra is property owning democracy, and who think that the state is the golden goose from who they must steal all the gold, including the goose itself, that they can kill and eat, who think that they must milk the cow, the nursing cow, to the extent that all the milk is finished and they kill the cow, and then we go. And this is not just mere thinking. We have seen how these two political parties have governed Ghana over the years. From an era where we have seen, how do you call that, district and municipal assembly chief executives under the actual Rawlings era and the PNDC and NDC, who have gone home and they do not even have common motor. And please let me rephrase. I take back the word common. They do not have bicycle ties to boast about. They do not have motorbikes to ride. To an era whereby right now, in this era, before a DC have spent up to 12 months in office, they already have 2, 3, 4, 5 houses. Before a DC leaves office, after a tenure, they have cars in the tens of them. This is where we are as a people. So when you put in your caption, what was the caption? But I sum it up to mean, did we go or did we come? We see an era whereby any time that the so-called property owning democracy people come into the picture, they bring another level to what people can milk from the state to a different level altogether. From which time, whereby the things that were acceptable now become, they just keep hitting more and going higher, further and further. And why do I say this? Few years ago, in our health sector, I started with, I said when the fish is rotten, it starts from the top. Let me give you another example. A few years ago, in the health sector, the thing that people were crying about the most was not because they could not see that government of Ghana was building the medical center in Legon. It is not because they could not see the Accra Regional Hospital, the Rich Hospital, being built or refurbished. But what we were crying about was the sum of money. They said, oh, this was too much money. We could have done it for less. Today, as we sit, Agenda 111, Ghana has paid money to contractors who have taken the money, mobilization money and what have you. They've taken the money and they've gone to bed to sleep and enjoy themselves. And the sites that have been set aside for the building of those supposed district hospitals or clinics are lying bare land. Nothing on them and nothing is happening. Today, as we sit, the current leader of the minority in parliament is being prosecuted in court, still under the health sector, for granting letters for the importation of ambulances. Ambulances that arrived in the country and have since been allowed to rot, packed somewhere, allowed to rot. That is being prosecuted. While today, the people who took delivery of those ambulances allowed them to rot, they have paid for ambulances that have never arrived.
I'm sure somebody will want to hear this again. Someone will want to hear this again. Seriously.
It is not. No, it is not as if the ambulances have really arrived and we are not interrogating as to whether we overpaid or we underpaid or the right ambulances or not. The ambulances have never arrived. And yet we have paid for them. And that is acceptable today in today's Ghana. Today, as we sit, we have had state money under the pretext of COVID-19 paid to private hospitals equipped by the state for nothing. In effect, what I'm saying is that government of Ghana has taken the taxpayers' money and paid it to private hospitals in the name of fighting COVID-19, when those hospitals have never recorded any COVID-19 case. They have never admitted any COVID-19 patient. And those have been used to give to private hospitals. And that is allowed. It's tolerable today. So did we go or did we come?
Or did we come? Over to you, Joe Latte. Did we go or did we come?
Yes. And look, I will set this ball rolling, allow you to roll it on to my next panelist. You talked about
that is wonderful. We're still on the issue of education, and wherever you are, it's very grateful to have you on the show this evening. This is my view on today's Ghana News TV. We will take the views from some of our followers, a few of the views from our followers, and then we'll bring in Mr. Delali. We'll look at the educational system during the Kwame Nkrumah era, or the pre-colonial era to Kwame Nkrumah's era, and the current era. What is the difference? And honestly, as we speak now, our educational system seems not to have a direction. But whatever be the case, Mr. Delali and Mr. Dachia will be helping us to have an insight, and I'm pretty sure you will stay tuned to get more information. So we'll take the views from our followers, and gratifying my producer will bring us where we are now. Brimpong once again says, greetings and watching you from Warsaw, Poland. Brimpong, we're very grateful. You are always part and parcel of the show. And Ahovi, good evening, guys. Ahovi, our regards to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Take good care of yourself. Ni Ankra, Papa Ankra says, hello, Dr. Kpan. We are very grateful you are part of the show this evening. Ose Superior, we salute you. He said, greetings from Barcelona, Spain. We are grateful. Benye you are waving us. We are grateful that you have joined us this evening, and you will always share your views with us. Thank you once again. Oh, man, Bashiru. Bash says, nice job. Inshallah, may Allah bless you people. Abash, we are very grateful, and greetings to the people of Bielefeld. Gordon says, hello, Delali, watching you live from Afajato South. Oh, okay. Well, we're grateful that you are following us this evening, and Mr. Delali is actually giving a lot of insight into where we are today. Oh, our award-winning Patience Darko, she says, good evening, Dr. Jerome and your team, watching from Hamburg, Germany. Patience, we're grateful once again. Nana Tafremu, Sakina Information Center. Nana, we're grateful that you're part of the show this evening. Nana says, Ghana is heading in wrong direction. Akufo-Addo is a disaster. Watching from Tatali, Northern Ghana. You are also live from Sakina Information Center. Our greetings to all the people of Sakina Information Center and all the people of Tatali who are part of the show this evening, courtesy of you. Oh, hey, Togwe Abuatake Light. He says, hello there, Mr. Delali. Light Abuatake, watching you live from Düsseldorf, Germany. And Light says, Mr. Delali is a former coordinator of the National Mobilization Program for Volta region. Yes, he did indicate that. I'm sure he is very grateful that today you are watching him live after a long period of time. Mama Grace says, good evening, comrades. We're very grateful, Mama Grace, and you are watching us from Stuttgart, Germany. Good job. We're grateful that you appreciate what we're doing. We go down. Uncle Tom says, Albert, from where I sit, listening to you gives me hope. Ghana is not lost. Share knowledge and ideas. Akpe. Uncle Tom, we are very grateful that you are part of the show this evening. Oh, powerful Umar Dennis. And then he says, good evening, Comrade Doc and Doc, more fire. We will do our possible best, sir. We are grateful that you are part of the show. Powerful Maxwell Nate. Kudos to you, my able GS and VGS. Nanado is a scam. Watching live from Mannheim. My friend, do your work. You are doing it live. We are grateful. Comrade Omar Dennis is back. Wow, very proud of you guys. What more can one ask for? Kudos. Guys, you people are doing a wonderful job. We are very grateful that you appreciate what we are doing. We're doing our very best just to help Mother Ghana. Having said that, grateful to all of you wherever you are on the show this evening. This is my view coming to you live on today's Ghana News TV. And we're looking at the direction that our country is moving in. Today, we are very privileged to have two powerful people on the show. So now we want to bring back Mr. Delali and we'll look at what has changed. Mr. Delali, you are welcome back. You had a lot of greetings from Light Abuatake. Light said he worked with you. You are the former coordinator of the National Mobilization Program for Volta region.
Deputy coordinator.
Whoa, deputy coordinator, wonderful.
I was the
He's
deputy
watching
coordinator.
you from Düsseldorf and he sends his greetings.
Yeah, Light, happy hearing of you. It's been quite some time.
Yeah. So, Uncle Delali, welcome back. We're looking at the educational system. I don't know if my question will really make any sense. If you look at the people who got their education during the Kwame Nkrumah era right up, and you look at those of us that would say the Rawlings era, because 90% of the people right now only knows or came into realization with Rawlings on the seat of government. If you look at our educational system, despite the fact that there have been several changes, you mentioned that we'll come back to those changes, which is simply meaningless in any case, because or if I want to say those who did the 5-year system, the Form 1 to Form 5 system, the old system, and then the new system. What significant changes have you seen and where have we gone wrong as a country?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a brilliant question. Thank you very much. Where we've gone wrong is how we've handled our sociocultural relevance to our education. If you look at the UN Declaration on Human Rights, paragraph 27, it talks about education and culture going together to avoid excluding segments of the population from development. That's 47. Then in 48, the British, in fact, there's a document the British wrote, they conducted research in 46, because the British had decided that they were going to grant independence to colonies that wanted self-government. But they needed to do some research and make sure that they assisted them to succeed. So they conducted research in 46 and came out with a document titled Education for Citizenship in Africa. And the keywords are education and citizenship, with the full understanding that education must be able to mold each person to become a good citizen. So education for citizenship in Africa. In that document, they said they were not ready to train Africans to become Europeans, and that our education and culture must go together. So they cited the example that, look, we transmitted knowledge to our children informally. So a child will follow the father to the farm, and as he went to the farm, the father will be giving instruction and leading him all along about things that surrounded him. But with formal education, the child was going to lose a lot of that. So you have to find a way of combining the two so that education and your environment could fuse and move in tandem, so it could build a whole human being. Because what is education? It must be acquisition of knowledge to improve on the environment. So you needed to understand your environment so that the new knowledge you are acquiring can help you improve on it. Then even out of that, you can quiz out entrepreneurs to look at what you want to do. And a typical example is cited this, where a young boy, the father was a blacksmith, and the father asked him to, his duty was to clean the foundry each morning and set the fire for the father to come and work. And then the father decides to send his child also to school, and realized that the joy with which he used to do the work at the foundry was no longer being shown. And that since he started attending school, he needed to use a cane or some duress to help let him go and do the same thing that he was doing. He was saying that, so the classroom was telling him something different. So that child could have gone all the way to KNUST as a mechanical engineer. Whilst in the classroom, they were telling him that you become an engineer, a manager somewhere. And that's what your father was doing was primitive. There's something bigger outside there. Then after completing his KNUST, he realized that that big thing was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, what he should have acquired at home too, he had lost it.
Yeah, lost it.
And then you become an unemployed graduate. And in the research, we found so many things. And I asked the question, that people founded and from which they look cater for their children in school, their educated children could not cater for those same vocations and make them empires. So we realize that our sociocultural relevance in our education is the major gap, because we have not changed the trajectory of education from the Gettysburg one to ourselves. And that pervades, it continues. And as we went through the search, the closest I came to was an address delivered by the minister during the Nkrumah time, Kofi Baku, who was admonishing teachers to cheat.
Okay. Well, we have technical challenges, but we hope that it can be resolved as soon as possible, and then we see. The producer, kindly check it up, and then let's see. Probably we can have a bite from Mr. Dachia whilst we wait for Mr. Delali's issue to be resolved. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you very much. And
Mr. Delali was very busy on our educational system.
Yeah,
I was asking him where we went wrong. But then from your side, where you sit, for me, I see that our educational system, we are more or less interested in the grades that people get rather than the knowledge that they gain. I don't know if I'm thinking right. Because if you look at advertisement for employment, there are cutoff points. It's not about what you know, but it's what you are holding. Because at that point, they said you must have second class upper, you must have first class this, at least third class, or no, not third class, second class lower. With these grades or cutoff points, are we not more interested in people coming out with grades rather than the knowledge? Because you can do anything at all, rote learning, and get the grades, and then you come out. But when you get to the job, performance is another ball game. We will look at it from that game because there are a lot of complaints that our graduates that are coming out now has not got what it takes to occupy those positions, even though they have the grades.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you also have a similar opinion.
Yeah. I was enjoying the history of education by Mr. Delali. As you may know, I'm a student of education history, and I'm into the research of education as well. So I was enjoying what you were saying, and I would just like to add a little bit to the history that he was painting about about education in Ghana. And I would like to approach it from an angle where we see the pendulum that have been swinging all along since post-colonial to where we are. Mr. Delali tried to bring us from a point where our colonial masters introduced formal education to us with a particular mindset. With a particular objective in mind. And that objective was not to provide mass education to everybody. It was supposed to help them as a people achieve what they wanted to achieve. And so right from then, when Ghana gained independence from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had a different mindset to education. As in, he saw the benefit of education, of course. He benefited from education. So he wanted to expand education to as many people as possible. And there, writing set, that is where politics came into the whole agenda. Because while Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who wanted to expand education to everybody, wanted to expand education to everybody, the opposition at the time, who were a group of privileged people who had gone to school, wanted to restrict education to a group of people with the objective, with the mindset that if you expand education to everybody, the quality reduces. So for them, their thinking was that education should be left to a select few so that we can give them best education rather than give it to a lot of people so that not a lot of people get good education. And we have been going in between there and then, swinging in between the pendulums until we got where we are right now. And as you said, where we are right now, I'm also of the opinion that we have reached a stage as a country where we are more interested in schooling people, but not interested in educating them. I don't know whether you get a difference.
Yeah.
As in schooling people, in putting people in school, as to whatever they learn in that school is irrelevant. We just want them to be in school. So that when we are counting people, when doing head count as to number of people who we'll be able to put through school, our numbers are high there. But as to the number of people, as to what education we have given people, that's a different matter altogether. And that informs why we have some of the policies that we have right now. Remember when, how do you call that? Just before the 2016 elections. 2016, in fact, 2016 election was mainly won on the battleground of education. You know, where a particular group of people said that we'll give everybody free SHS. And another group of people said that that thing is not a novel idea. It's nothing new. That as a matter of fact, it is in our constitution that the country would continue to progressively make education free to its citizens, and that we should not rush to doing it, but we should wait and do it properly. Now, God being so good, or God, well, as fate may have it, let me put it that way. Maybe that's maybe that's a better expression. As fate may have it, the people who said they wanted to give everybody free education happened to get the nod of Ghanaians, and we saw the haste with which they went on to implement the so-called free education to all Ghanaians. And the byproduct of that is that we have continued to entrench ourselves in a system whereby we are constantly schooling people, but not educating people. In my work, I did a lot of work in, how do you call that, rural northern Ghana and rural Burkina Faso. In most of the schools that I worked in Burkina Faso, I give you a comparative analysis of the situation that I find. In the school that I worked in Ghana, there are schools that I worked in, primary schools, where you have 3 teachers at best. The normal situation was to have 2 teachers who were supposed to run a whole primary school from primary 1 to primary 6 in Ghana, as opposed to Burkina Faso, whereby, of course, their system is a little different.
Mr. hold on. Yeah. The Ghana section of the schools that you worked on,
yes,
you had
3. 2 was a normal. At best, 3 teachers.
For the whole primary school?
From primary 1 to primary 6.
Okay.
And what those teachers eventually had to do was to merge these classes. You remember those days, when then they put primary 1, primary 2 together.
Yeah.
Primary 3, primary 4 together. And what they did, in some cases where you are 2 teachers, what they then had to do was to divide the 10 subjects between the 2 teachers, who would teach 5 across the whole primary school, and the other one would take 5 subjects across the whole primary school. Now, if you compare that to what was happening in the Burkina Faso part, Burkina Faso had a system whereby in their primary section, you had each class having a teacher. And I'm not talking about some fancy place in Burkina Faso. I'm talking about rural communities in Burkina Faso, sometimes like just neighboring communities. Ghana on the other side, Burkina on the other side, the same place. You have all the classrooms with teachers. And then they had a spare teacher in case one of the teachers in the classroom could not come to school for one reason or the other. That is the situation. But yet, when Ghana compares itself to Burkina Faso, Ghana says Burkina Faso is a poor country. But this tells you the emphasis they put on their education. And I'll give you another example. We have a situation where we say that right now we are expanding our basic education to include secondary schools, which means that those days when people used to write BC for placement, it no longer mattered, because no matter the grade people get, they will still go to school anyhow. And I have schools that I work with, whereby the teachers could no longer get students into the classroom because the teachers, the students will say, what's the point? No matter what the grade they get, they will still get to secondary school. Which brings me back to the point I am making, that in Ghana, whether it is deliberate or not, or whether it's for political convenience or political expediency, we have created a system whereby we just put people in school, push them through school, but they come out. Those days, we used to say that people come out as half-baked people. Right now, they're not even baked at all. In fact, they come out being cancerous and poisonous to the system because they come out thinking that they have learned something when in actual fact they have learned nothing, and they go about challenging all other people based on their ignorance and collapsing our system. And that is how come that this today, though as compared to those days, when people could apply to foreign schools and they give their Ghanaian certificates, and they were taken for granted that these are well-trained people. Today, if a Ghanaian is applying to schools in Canada, your certificates go through extra scrutiny because of the doubt of people that we are bringing out of our education system. And this is as a result of the same group of people who go promising what they cannot deliver and putting in place systems. In fact, misplaced systems meant to. I remember this very clearly. There is one of the. I attended one PTA meeting, and a parent got up and said that the government of Ghana says that they should not pay school fees, and yet they are not they are not supplying the teachers with the needs that they want. The government of Ghana says they should not pay school fees, and yet they are not giving them teachers to teach their students. And that when they bring in people teachers to help teach their students, the government says they should not collect money to pay. And that he thinks that it is a deliberate attempt by the government to make the poor people continue to be poor and make the politicians who are sending their children to schools abroad so that their children become richer and come back to rule them as poor people. And this, my brother, is wisdom. I think that whatever that is happening in Ghana is not by chance. I think that it's a deliberate attempt by some people to continue to put some group of people impoverished, underinformed or misinformed, so that they continue to be at the base of society while they put their children in the international schools in Ghana. And when they finish those international schools, they send them abroad, and they come back to rule over them and to ensure that the poor continue to be poor and the rich and the political class continue to be rich. And I know that I know you know the people I'm talking about. It is our elephant friends. And that is why it is imperative that all well-meaning Ghanaians do not, that people should look at their situation as they sit and analyze. When people promise you things, we should ask questions. How can you deliver these things? And that is what is leading us where we are right now. And if we do not set up, the situation will continue to get worse as we move along. And no wonder that we have corruption perception index being where it is. No wonder that you have hospitals that are built on paper but not on the ground. No wonder that they are paying and bribing for school placement for their children to go to school while our children stay somewhere. No wonder that in today's Ghana, some people are benefiting from borrowing money, while the poor people are having to give away their money to the state in the name of rescuing the state. Now, who caused that? Did we go or did we come?
I think you will need a whole of a 2-hour program. Then we can look at the educational system seriously, especially with your experience comparing what you saw in Burkina Faso and what you saw in Ghana. I mean, the neighboring communities and the differences and all that, and the real impact. You know, we only have to even look at it. Some people think that it's only a section of people who are going to be affected, but everybody is going to be affected except the rich, because like Black Rasta said in his song, when they are sick, they fly to London for treatment. You and I, we go to Kolebu and we will die there. Sometimes you and I might not even have the privilege of going to Kolebu because we
Even
cannot afford
the Kolebu
the
roads
cost
are now full of potholes. You even get there. The potholes will kill you before you get there.
before you get there. So I think we'll definitely have another look at this whole thing. I think I'll talk to my producer. He has to get you back and then give you full time, and then we'll have a more detailed discussion. Before I bring Mr. Delali to finish what he was saying, we have a few comments from some viewers. Patricia joined us a bit late today, Patricia, but we're very grateful that you are on the show. And it says, "Good evening, my people. Great sacrifices you guys are doing for our party." Pat once again says, we are indeed proud of you." And then she follows up with another wonderful one. "Interesting revelation with your example of comparing royal primary school system in Burkina Faso and that of Ghana. Indeed, interesting facts. Yes, we will come up with more." And then Comrade Tom is back here. Comrade Tom Nutako says, "Albert, maximum respect. You are talking what we think. The rain steadying under a tree shaped my mind." Okay, the rain steadying under a tree shaped my mind. Uncle Tom, we are very grateful that you are part of the show this evening. We'll bring back Mr. Producer. Please kindly let's have Mr. Delali, and he will finish up with his thoughts on where we went wrong with our educational system. Sorry, welcome back. The system actually knocked you off, but I think we can continue
Yes.
from where we ended on
Yeah.
where we went wrong with our
There's so much
educational
rain
system,
around here.
looking at education and the culture.
Yes. Yes. So I was saying that the socio-cultural void has been the key element and how we fused it. And Christians brought education to Ghana before the state took over, and before it had. But one significant thing I discovered was that whilst we were agitating for independence in '55, I remember Mr. Reverend Williamson, Gold Coast University College.
Oh my God.
I'm going to fuse it with the new things that you will learn. If you take a look at it. Professor Bam, who was at Legon, raised the same sentiments that was a key area we must look at. Don't forget, I mentioned the UN Declaration on Human Rights, and I mentioned the British document on education for Africa. Education for
Yeah, it's one of those things. We pray in that Mr. Delali's system will get connected and we complete it. It's good that we have a bit of knowledge from what happened yesterday and what is happening today. That will help us to shape in what we can do tomorrow. And we want to find out, how are the political parties benefiting from such knowledge? This is Mr. Delali, who he has come up with his own NGO. He's done a lot of work based on our systems, comparing educational systems, comparing why social interventions have not yielded the needed results and the way forward. Just think about what Mr. Dache just said and take your own experience when you are working in the government sector. There are sometimes your own colleagues will tell you that this is not your father's job. So it is something that has come to be part and parcel of us. You give a brand new vehicle to a private person, give another vehicle to a government department, and within 2 years, the one for the government department is totally deteriorated, and the one with the private person still looks relatively new. Why? Where have we gone wrong? Do we think about ourselves or we think about the nation? And who benefits from the nation? Today we are alive and we have kids who are coming. What are they going to benefit from our toils? Mr. Producer, is he back? If not, then we'll bring in Mr. Dachia and then, okay. Yeah. I believe strongly we're having a big challenge with Mr. Delali's side. And so we come back to Mr. Dashia. Now, you didn't finish with your CPI, did you?
No,
Good.
no. And to be honest, that CPI is a pregnant, it's impregnated with a lot of things that if we were to discuss it, I'm sure we should dedicate a series to it. You know, we can have a 1 month running series where we can go into it and unravel the things that are in each of his components, because the situation is such that it is mind-boggling. It doesn't matter the part of the segment of the economy that one takes. They just keep rolling on, and it's just as murky in one sector as it is in the other. I've in this discussion, I've only touched on a few. I've scratched on the pregnancy. I've scratched on the presidency. I've scratched the health sector. Education sector, I waved at it. I've not even scratched on that one. I just waved at it. And it keeps going. And you know what is sad? What is more saddening about it is that we have done it to the extent that we have even carried it to religion. And I'm sure that Ghanaians bear testimony to the series that Honorable Ablakwa have been running on the cathedral project, to the extent that even we carry our graft to religion. How bad can we be? Such that we steal in the name of God, and we can go to bed and sleep with it and be happy about it.
But I don't seem to understand where you are coming from with this issue. Even though for the past 3 years, the CPI for Ghana has not changed, which means there has not been enough fight against corruption. But this government is the only government in the history of our republic, or probably in the Fourth Republic, that can boast of appointing the what?
How do you call it? Special prosecutor.
Special prosecutor. From one prosecutor to the next. And this is an office that has been created to fight corruption. And yet, we are not seeing any difference. And you are scratching on surfaces. Hey.
Well, to begin with, you said you are not seeing anything. You said you are not seeing any difference. How are you going to see difference when the so-called special prosecutor in the first place is a hungry man? The man has not been paid in over a year. How do you expect a hungry man to work? What were you expecting? And even when he works, I think that the special department of clearing agents has been extended to the office of special prosecutor. When Martin Abidu felt he could no longer work with the so-called, he called them mother serpents.
Mother serpents.
He took off. I think that what they did was to delegate the office of clearing agent from the presidency and now subsume it under the office of the special prosecutor, such that if anybody is accused of anything, you are referred to a special prosecutor and they whitewash you and you come out from the other side clean. And for those who dare to back at power, or speak truth to power, even if you are one of them, they will hand you to the special prosecutor so that they will hang you and dry. This is the idea of fighting corruption from these people, and yet they cried everywhere, made us believe that the only solution to fighting corruption in Ghana, and that the only way to achieve our bit in fighting corruption in Ghana was by setting up an ombudsman Office of Special Prosecutor. They took her to South Africa and cited examples of where South Africa had a special prosecutor who was doing everything. Brought back the same idea, and that is it. That is the issue with the current system that we have. They go find something, copy it, and their problem is not with copying. Remember that even in the president's first inaugural speech, he plagiarized it. So they do. Please do not talk as if you are behaving as if I am the one making this up. It's all over the place. Plagiarize his first inaugural address. It's truly thereon from the how do you call it, spokesperson at the presidency. It's become one plagiarism after another. Vice president's wife, everybody have been plagiarizing. So plagiarism is not a problem for them. They really know how to plagiarize, to steal ideas. The problem now is how to implement what they have stolen. That is the problem. They go about picking everything from everywhere. Now implementing it become a problem. That is how come in our education sector they came to Germany. Technical universities. Wasted our time. Took people to Germany and they brought back everything. Come to implement. They just came and change names of polytechnics to technical universities and named them after their cronies. And today the polytechnics are still what they used to be.
Yeah. They are even worse off. They are worse off because those practical aspects that should be in existence is no longer there.
We were there when they said they wanted to turn how do you call it, teacher training colleges into how do you call it, educational how do you call it, education colleges of education, or is it university colleges of education?
Yeah, colleges of education.
Another name to nothing. Same old university, same old institutions. Nothing has changed. They just changed the name.
So that, you know what? Let me take one comment that just came up. Then I'll bring Mr. Delali because of his internet issues. Then we can wind up with him. Then I'll come back and take your closing words.
All right.
Uncle Tom is back, and this message is directed at you. He says, Albert, your generation will change the mindset of the youth in your place of abode as at now. Ghana is bigger than the party, but we want a Ghana with a vision under the NDC, a message we have to sell with conviction. This is a powerful message coming from Uncle Tom, all the way from Bielefeld. We're very grateful, and I'm pretty sure, Albert, this is the tax that has been put on your shoulders, and you have to take it up. So we'll come back with Uncle Delali, and then we see if we'll be able to finish it. Uncle Delali, you are most welcome back.
Yes, I think unfortunately, it's very so much.
The system doesn't want to hit on this point that you want to make, but we just have to take it. Yeah. So you could complete what you were talking about, and then we take your part.
Yes. So you asked the question that why is it that why did we get it wrong? And I'm saying that it followed all along, because I remember in 1970, the Ministerial Secretary for Education, one Dr. Finn, made a profound statement where he stated that we were training ignorant graduates. That was 1970. Then coming forward, Dr. F. Sutherland had lamented how we are producing graduates who are not creative-minded. Then Professor Ayete, Vice Chancellor of University was lamenting that we have been producing graduates that are not responsive, and he has had complaints from industry and various places that they are not functional, and that it has taken them too long to accept that has been a burden. And I'm saying that my research tells me that yes, the socio-cultural elements that are missing in education have undermined our capacity to implement anything correctly in this country. I tell people that some people claim that the 66 coup destroyed many things. I tell them my research tells me that if it were for a political reason, governments that held allegiance to Kwame Nkrumah ruled this country longest even after Nkrumah's overthrow. Why couldn't they make the change? They couldn't make the change because it's the education system that is not good enough to help us sustain these elements. And that is the issue. And I'm saying that today, yes, we have many more we are producing as graduates, they are coming out of school, but they are all looking at the center. Now, we chanced upon a research interview, a UN report, 57. That's just a month after our independence. A UN report that had Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and Felix Houphouët-Boigny on a platform. And they were asking Dr. Nkrumah, how were you going to run this state with the weak structures? He said, you use the state to run the affairs. Houphouët-Boigny was then leading the independence struggle in Cote d'Ivoire. And he answered that he used the market forces for the same reason that Kwame Nkrumah had given. 2017 was 60 years since those interviews. So we decided to do a comparative analysis between Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana to see which leadership approach benefited one the other more. And without blinking an eye, it struck me. Ghana used to be the leading producer of cocoa until the 80s, when Cote d'Ivoire overtook us. From the 80s, Cote d'Ivoire suffered 5 years of civil war. It couldn't inure to our benefit to overtake them as the leading producer of cocoa. Today, Cote d'Ivoire produces over 2 million tons of cocoa. We are struggling to make 1 million tons. Cote d'Ivoire hasn't got the luxury of Akosombo Dam, etc. that we have. But when we had power outages, we went to borrow from them. Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana met in 3 African Cup of Nations finals on penalties. Cote d'Ivoire defeated in all of them. So we sat back to see, so what was the difference? And the difference shows clearly. Whilst our approach made us look up always to government, that is why everything for us is political, and that we want to explain everything political. In Cote d'Ivoire, the market forces that they used, Ivorians were accepting themselves more as individuals to succeed. And that is why they left us. So we have to change the paradigms and realize that, yes, our approach has been faulty. But we need to understand and accept that, yes, we are getting in the wrong direction. And my research findings, we designed the solutions, what I call the back to roots tool. Because our challenges are attitudinal, they need training sessions for people to understand where we are going wrong. If you don't do that one, I foresee socio-political upheavals, because as we go around and listen to people talk, the despondency, that people are saying, they are complaining. If not that because they have the solution, they are complaining. Now the complaints can get into upheavals. After upheavals, then before realize that we didn't even have the answers. I recall the Arab Spring. Let's go and see what is happening after Arab Spring. Let's go and see what is happening. But I think that under a democratic phase like this, we must get back to the table and say, hey, let us agree. And I keep on saying that Ghana's problems are beyond NDC and MPP, far, far beyond them. And the approaches everybody is using are just kids' clubs. The real problem is seated there watching everybody, because all the submissions we make, the complaints we make, before the colonial master could go, we made those allegations against them. We said they were cheating us. What do you say about our government today? Are they cheating us, or they are well with us? We said our independence, we can give the price of cocoa ourselves. Have we succeeded? We said, oh, if we went independent, we'll be free. Are we free? After 60 years, are we free? So there are fundamental problems with us that we need to sit down and address seriously. Other than that, the future is looking quite bleak. And I'm saying that, yes, I authored the book, The Back to Roots tool. It is a tool for attitude change. If companies want to improve on service, they want to improve on delivery, that tool is significant for them. political parties want to improve your political organization, that tool beneficial to you. If you want entrepreneurship, that tool is beneficial to you. This assembly, I did a pilot phase on this program and 10 these assemblies to test this back to root tool. And there was one question I asked. I asked the question, who is a politician? And that covered 250 first degree and second degree holders, 250 in 10 these assemblies. I have 108 definitions of what a politician is on my laptop right now. What does that tell you? That tells you that we are in serious trouble. Because even the technocrats that must advise the political leadership have different views about who a politician is. For instance, one just says that a politician is a thief. So if a politician is a thief, how is he going to carry out his own duties when he sees the politician as a thief? So we have serious issues on our hands. So I want to use this platform. We have the resources to help you change the mindset of your entities. It can be your church. It can be any grouping. But our primary criterion is that the leadership must be committed to implement whatever things you've agreed on at the training. And we'll take you to the training and do a 12-month strict monitoring, because changing attitudes are not easy. Because as Bob Goya says, attitudes are ingrained in your personality. They're ingrained. Other than that, a doctor who knows that smoking is injurious couldn't have continued smoking.
Sure.
So they're ingrained. And it has got a grip of us as Ghanaians so much that all that we hear, the average graduate, whatever is getting, we all have articulation of the problems we have, but no solutions.
No solution.
Articulation of problems, no solutions. Articulation of problems, no solution. That is what we've become. And I think that the time is up for us. And we offer the services to whoever wants it. And we want to see a better Ghana. We can make it work. Because I have hope that this nation can rise up and stand on its feet and take its place as the lead in Africa.
Sir, we cannot say much at this stage, but I believe strongly we need to organize a special edition that we can have a lot more from you, because people need to listen. Even if you are out of school with your degrees, first degree, second degree, third degree, this you cannot find in the textbook. People need to listen and get that it will help us let our environment influence and let our thinking go outside the box. It's not just about what we learn in the textbook. We are very grateful that you have joined us this evening, and we will again make time and plead with you to be part of the show fully on a special edition, only you, and then we will go all out. And I'm pretty sure that a lot more people thinking about any other setup to carry out projects in Ghana and to support, develop our human resource will definitely have the opportunity of getting in touch with you. If anybody gets in touch with me, I'll link the person up to you. And there are projects that we can run which are not in the classroom, but very practical, and that will help people change our mindset, change our attitude, and Ghana will move forward. We are very grateful for having you this evening, sir. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being with you. Thanks so much.
It's a pleasure.
And enjoy your night.
Thank you very much. I have a comment from Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom, today I think my producer has to get in touch with you and do the needful. I believe Efodela is an error like my good self. Has he ever discussed such with his elders where he came from? Oh, Uncle Tom, I can assure you that that has been one of his driving forces, and I can give you a bit of the communication that he has done with his own people, his surroundings, and the rest. He's done a very good job there. Ahunfe Patricia is back again. Changing attitudes isn't easy in our today politics. I love that, Mr. Indo. That one is true, because attitude is ingrained in you. You can't do anything outside it, but we need to continue to do it in a gradual process. The current youth and the younger ones, we have a long way to go. We have to change And once we change, we're able to influence the younger ones behind us as well. So you have a task, I have a task. And then I bring in Mr. Dachie, so I'll take his passing words as we brought down the curtain on this evening's show on MyView. Mr. Dachie, welcome back.
Thank you. I take reservations to passing words. It looks as if they look as though they are words of a dying man.
There is still hope. There is still hope. He believes there is hope. And we have to make use of people of this nature. There is hope.
Yes. I believe strongly there is hope in Ghana, just like Mr. Delali said. And just like Uncle Tom said, Uncle Tom, thank you very much. I believe that the charge that you have set is not a charge just for me, but it's a charge for every Ghanaian youth. That is why I take strong consonance in the youth anthem of Ghana. And for those who have forgotten, I'll recite it, that we should arise, Ghana youth, for your country. Your nation demands your devotion. Let us all unite here and make it great and strong. We are all involved in building our motherland. Ghana is the only country that we have. I'm now talking from, I'm now, this is no longer part of the youth anthem. Ghana is the only country that we have. We can go anywhere, but we will never have another motherland. The sooner we come together, unite, and go and hold Ghana in our arms, nurture it, and make it the country that we desire it to be, the better. Because we can go anywhere, but we'll always be strangers there. The only country that we have, the only land of our birth, is Ghana. No other person is going to make it what we think or what we desire it to be, other than ourselves. So let us arise. Let us build our motherland to make it great and strong. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Jerome.
What a wonderful way to put my viewers to sleep. We've been very privileged having you this evening, Mr. Dachie. But listen, we will still come back to you. We'll want to look at this CPI. We'll want to use that to look at the impact of the COVID funding and everything. We'll look at the Agenda 111, where we are, where we started, and where we are today. And we'll even look at the port that has been created at Keta. Thank you very much, Mr. Dachie, for making time to be with us. And thank you to all our viewers. This has been MyView show on Today's Ghana News TV. And once again, join us come Monday evening, and we will share our views together. It has been a pleasure having you wherever you are. Remain blessed and have a good night.
Mampam osontie so dogo binwa bem mampam osontie